welcome to Guitarist Magazine. We can be found on the web at www.guitarist.com. My name is Jason JROCK Houston. My great pleasure to be speaking with the lead singer guitarist Dusty Grant. How you doing today, Dusty?
I'm doing well, man. How are you doing?
Now, I'm just loving your song, and I got to be real honest here, Dusty. I'd never heard you before your publicist sent me the little press release on you, but I'm just loving your song, which is, of course, from a single and video for Ocean. So you want to start the interview off telling us a little bit about what you wrote the song about?
Yeah, Oceans is a song that I wrote with my lead guitar player, Jason Catlett. It was the first song that he and I actually wrote together. We both lost a close friend of ours in a hit-and-run accident last year.
Oh, wow.
And he was, he was a guy our age, actually a little younger than us. And he was a close friend and mentor of ours. And it was just a very, very unexpected thing to happen.
I bet, yeah.
So Oceans was kind of a way to process the grief and the depression and deal with it, and it's a very very deep, powerful song for us, and it's just something that it's a song that shouldn't exist, like Jason has said a lot.
Yeah.
But it's something that he and I wrote together, and we actually I wrote the lyrics for it, and Jason wrote the music for it completely separately, but then we got together in the studio and they fit together almost perfectly. So that it was just kind of a natural progression that became the first full band single for us.
Well, let me just start off saying sorry for your loss, and it's tragic anytime you have to lose somebody, but something like that is really senseless, and I think what really not even really knowing any of the details, but what makes something like that really tragic is not just the fact that he was so young, but maybe it was an accident, but then to just take off, or whatever the case may be. I mean, that makes it that much worse. I mean, just imagine if the person that hit your friend, imagine that was their child or their family member. How they would feel.
Yeah, it's left everybody. It leaves a real bitter taste in everybody's mouth. You never know what could happen if somebody would have stopped or something like that. But that's something you'll never know.
Yeah, and what a sad yet what a beautiful tribute to your fallen friend. I mean, I think that explains why when I first listened to the track, I mean, you're a very emotive singer. I mean, it is very, very much a heartfelt song. That's kind of why I was curious to know what the song was about.
Yes, sir. I tried to. It was a hard one to write. It was a hard one to sing. It's still a hard one to sing a little bit, but it's one that we had to get out there, and that is really what we hope to put out a good tribute to a friend, and to hopefully let somebody else know that if they're going through something similar, or they lost somebody close to them, that it's normal to feel these things, and you don't have to feel like you're alone in feeling it, because there's unfortunately in life that's something that we all experience. So it was important for us to put that out there and really shoot our shot with this one for sure.
And even after knowing what the track is about, I got to tell you, Dusty, being that this is the only song I've heard from you so far, I think the best compliment I can give you is saying it left me wanting to hear more, if you know what I mean. I mean, the track was that good, and I'd love to know how would you describe your, not just the song, but the overall sound of your music. I mean, I don't know if I would describe it as hard rock. Metal is definitely not a pop tune, but I would almost call it metal or hard rock with melody.
Yeah, I would say melodic hard rock is the stuff that we're doing now. I started out as a solo acoustic artist, and I always called it dark acoustic rock. I've always been a guy that's written about feelings and dark stuff, and I battle some depression and stuff like that. So it's always been something that I've been pretty open, talking about and writing about. But the stuff that we've got coming out this year is definitely going to be more in the hard rock vein for sure. We've got quite a bit planned here for 2022 to release more music, so it'll all be full band stuff for sure this year.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because in watching the video, I mean, it's definitely, the name is Dusty Grant, but definitely watching the video, it's much more of a solo act. I mean, you can just look at the band, backing in the video. I mean, everybody's kind of doing their thing, and just listening to the song and watching the video, to me, it's like everybody kind of brings something to the picture, even though this is a Dusty Grant band.
Oh yeah, everybody in the band is musicians. And I've also got Via, who sings with me. She just wasn't on this track, so she's not in the video, but she's just as important of a member as anybody else in the band. And everybody in the band is just people that I respect and look up to, and every time I play with them, I'm humbled to play with them. And everybody just does their job, and they're just absolute professionals and a pleasure to be around. So I'm stoked to have such awesome people playing with me.
Now, was she somebody you had previously known, like just a friend, or did you have a conscious decision? I want to have a kind of a female person that can sing.
She's a friend of mine. I was in a metalcore band at the time, and she was in a metal band at the time, and we were playing out together. And we both kind of hit it off. Just we had a very similar promotional style, and we both worked really hard. And I always admired her promotion skills and her professionalism, and she kind of felt the same about me. So it was a natural friendship. And then we just started, it was a natural progression. We wrote some tunes together, and we started singing and playing together, and it's just kind of evolved from there.
I mean, the band, to me, just listening to one track, kind of already got that it factor, but kind of having a female band member, especially a singing person in the band, I think kind of gives it that extra, it factor, if you will. And it's not such an ordinary thing to have a female musician in the band. It's kind of becoming more and more common these days.
Yeah, she brings a whole new element, and I know with our next recording, she's on it. I know it's going to bring a whole nother level. Once Oceans kind of runs its course, and we've pushed it as far as we can, we're going to release another one. We've got video. We got plans to go shoot video in May for it, so we're definitely coming out swinging this year for sure. Yeah,
and you talk a little bit about the songwriting. I mean, to me, that's always what makes a great songwriter is somebody that can kind of write from the heart. You write more about, like you listen to a song like Oceans, and while I wasn't totally sure what the song was about, I'm like, wow, this is really a heartfelt song. It sounds like this is a page out of this guy's life, and I think those, even as tragic as this song the topic is about, it makes for, like you can really tell that this is like a page out of your life. You can tell that it really means something to you.
It does, I've always kind of taken on the notion, especially since I started solo back in, when I started acoustic, even when I was writing lyrics and stuff like that, I always wanted it to be, if you're feeling a little bit uncomfortable or a little bit too vulnerable with what you're writing, that's probably what you should be writing, because I feel like a lot of the stuff that influences me heavily is people that are very open about, darkness or whatever in their life. It's probably why I'm a fan of hard rock and metal music and all that type of stuff. But I definitely admire artists that can write and be honest about their feelings and be open about who they are and vulnerable and all that stuff. So that's kind of what I try to do.
Because even though I listen typically to hard rock and metal myself, I got an appreciation for stuff like Tom Petty and the Eagles, because honestly they're just great songwriters, and that's why any of their songs are being played on the radio almost 40, 50 years later. We're still listening to that stuff, because it's just good.
A good song is a good song regardless of genre, and you can definitely tell who the good songwriters are. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I was curious, Dusty. Were you always a singer, or did you start out like a lot of people playing the guitar and then kind of become a singer later, or did you always kind of sing as well?
It was kind of the opposite for me, actually. I started out as a singer when I was about 19, and I didn't really pick up the guitar much until, I would say about 2015, 2016 is when I actually kind of got serious about learning how to play. I would say I'm definitely more skilled as a singer than a guitar player, just because I have so much more time into singing and stuff like that. But playing guitar has become a love-hate relationship for me, and I've been talking to the guys in the band, joking around. I'm like, when am I going to be able to put this guitar down? They're like, I don't think you're going to be able to now, man. I think you're stuck with it, because people have gotten used to me holding a guitar. So it seems like that's going to stick.
And Necessary Evil. Now, do you have a lead player in the band, right? So you kind of have somebody to kind of fall back on, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, he definitely does all the heavy lifting on guitar. guitar, that's for sure. I have no problem admitting that at all.
Yeah.
He's a beast. He's been playing a really long time, and he's an absolute savage. So I always believe if you have people like that in the band, that you have to let them showcase their skills and do what's best for the song, for sure.
That's what's very interesting in watching the video for Oceans is, while this is very much the Dusty Grant band, like I said, I mean, everybody's kind of doing their thing, and I think you take one of those guys out of the band, it would not be the same band, not be the same sound. I think everybody in the band, and you seem to have that kind of attitude, is just as important as you.
Yeah, 100%. Everybody is, especially with the full band thing. We have an amazing relationship where everybody's very open to doing what's best for the song, whether it's me backing off of a part, whether it's somebody else backing off of a part or adjusting a part, or if I'm not sounding good on something, everybody in the band has carte blanche to tell me, hey man, we need to clean this up, whatever. It's definitely not a dictatorship. It's always for the greater good of sounding as good as we possibly can, and that's just, I guess it's the beauty of working with true professionals, which everybody in the band has been absolutely a true professional and a pleasure to play with.
Yeah, you do have an interesting story, man. A lot of the guys I've interviewed over years have told me, they have the opposite story, which is they start out as a guitar player, kind of become a singer out of necessity because, they can't picture anybody writing the songs or performing the songs they wrote, one guy told me I think I'd be more critical if somebody else is singing my songs, and plus I have that guitar kind of strapped around me. It's kind of my safety net. But whereas you kind of have opposite story. Did it take you a while getting used to having the guitar kind of while you're doing your singing up on stage and being the front man?
Oh, for sure. I did. When I was doing solo acoustic gigs, that was kind of the thing. I wanted to go out there and play as many shows as I could, just to kind of cut my teeth and get used to performing with the guitar and singing at the same time, because it was pretty new to me. Yeah. And so I took every gig I could get, and I traveled all around the Midwest just playing solo acoustic so I could kind of get my chops up and figure out what I actually wanted to do and get comfortable playing guitar and singing on stage. And it definitely took a while, but I've always kind of felt like you should get out there and do it. And if you try and fail, you learn, and you just keep grinding and you keep slugging it out, and eventually you'll get the hang of it. And, when I'm playing live now, even, I'm definitely thinking about the guitar more than I am the singing parts. I mean, the guitar doesn't come as naturally to me.
And so how about when you're up there, you're thinking a lot about the guitar, like you said, but do you ever get a brain fart as far as remembering the lyric or? Yeah. I don't think people realize being a frontman, all of it's in. You got to think about how you're going to rap to the audience, what you're going to say. Remember all the words to all the songs. Remember your guitar parts.
Yeah, and I started off acoustic, so I didn't have pedals or anything like that in the mix.
Wow.
And now you add pedals to the mix, so it's all right, so I've got to switch pedals at this part. I got to remember the lyric. I got to remember what I'm playing. There's a lot of things going on at once, and I'm still trying to get used to it. It's slowly but surely getting better, but yeah, it definitely takes some getting used to.
It's kind of interesting to hear you tell that story because, for a simple fact, again, this is just based on the song's Ocean. That's all I've heard from you so far, and again, leaves me kind of wanting to hear some other songs from you. But the point being, when I listen to that, I think a lot of people I was watching when people were commenting on the song, and I think one thing that a lot of people I kind of focused on was your voice. You seem like you're a real natural singer, and it makes sense because of what you're telling me. But you're as I think, just listening to it, maybe because I'm not a musician, I don't play any instruments, but to me, you're just as good of a guitar player as you are a singer. And one thing obvious about your voice, I'd say you're kind of Halford-like or even Dio-like in that you can reach those high notes.
That's a struggle for me. I have a deep voice. I'm a deep baritone. But something I've been working on hard since last year is I've been working on building my range and doing some things different dynamically to kind of take it to the next level, and I didn't take as many. I definitely feel like I'm taking more chances vocally with this song. Yeah. Some of those notes are harder for me to hit. but I just want to get to the point where I'm comfortable singing those notes, and I've been doing a lot better job taking care of myself, taking care of my voice, doing vocal exercises and stuff like that, trying to expand my range. So to hear that people notice that it feels really good to me, because I put a lot of work into trying to develop my voice and get it to where I can actually sound like I know what I'm doing when we go into record.
Well, let me just say, to my ears, it definitely does sound like, you're a seasoned pro, but you at least know how to deliver the goods, because, you just seem to... Now, is it any easier doing it in the studio versus a live performance?
When I rehearse by myself and the crowd's not there, it's a little hard to get up for it.
Okay.
When you're in the studio, you have such a perfect sound environment to where you have a perfect situation set up to where in your ears everything sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
And you can just focus on nailing it.
Yeah.
And then when you're playing live, you have the adrenaline of it, and I think that adrenaline does help make you sing better. If you're not thinking about hitting the notes, you're just hitting them because you're kind of feeling the energy from the crowds and stuff like that. When I'm rehearsing by myself, sometimes it's a little tricky to get up for it, because it seems a little monotonous, just practicing the same stuff over and over. But when you're in the studio and when you're on stage, it feels like it's a lot easier in those environments.
So it sounds like, as a performer yourself, you really feed off the roar of a crowd.
Definitely, yeah. The full band stuff has definitely reminded me of why I started playing in bands. Playing in front of a crowd, and if you can, even whether the crowd's big or small, if you can connect with the crowd, or a song that you play connects with the crowd, that's really what it's all about for me.
Now you're from Kansas. Is there much of a metal or rock scene there?
There is. The Wichita area's got a lot of talented bands. There's a lot of heavy bands, and there's a pretty good rock scene in the Midwest in general. There's a lot of hard rock fans in this area. You see a lot of the big rock bands kind of tour through the Midwest. They hit Kansas City, they hit Wichita, they hit Omaha, because there's a lot of good hard rock. There's a lot of good hard rock bands in this area, and there's a lot of hard rock fans in the Midwest too.
And let me ask you, Dusty, is this like your full-time job, or do you have a day job? Are you a working musician, like a lot of people?
I wish it was my full-time job.
Yeah, I hear you.
My full-time job. I work a job. I've got kids and a family, and I also do this. So
wow.
It's like I've got 3 full-time jobs.
Never ending.
No, it never stops for me, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Music is a part of who I am, so I do whatever I possibly can to do it. And if I eventually get to the point someday where I can do it full-time, that'd be a dream come true. But regardless, I'm going to keep doing it and keep pushing for sure.
In a way, you're living the dream, but you're still kind of doing it, you know what I mean? And the reason I ask that is, I imagine like a lot of people over the last 2 or 3 years, how bad did COVID affect you as being able to get out there and do live shows or doing your music?
It was a bummer. I had a bunch of shows booked. I think I canceled 20 or 30 shows that I booked myself, and I work really hard to book shows. Anyone that's independent out there that's booked shows knows how difficult that can be. So it was a big bummer to me, but it actually gave me a little bit of time to reconnect with my family, because for the 3 years previous to that, I'd been hitting the road pretty hard.
Yeah.
And I wasn't around much. I would get off work and drive straight to Tulsa, or I'd get off work and drive straight to Kansas City.
Wow.
And then I'd play for the weekend, and then I'd head home Sunday, and it wasn't giving me much time with my family. So it actually gave me a little bit more time at home to connect with my family more, which is great. But now I'm at the point where I'm chomping at the bit, where I want to hear more opportunity, and I want to get out and play more for sure.
When's the last time you guys did a live show?
Our last show was in November of last year, I believe.
So are you working towards some more live gigs, or are you kind of waiting to see how people react to the song?
We are waiting a little bit to see how the song reacts, to see if opportunities come, but we do have a couple shows booked with Blackstone Cherry.
Oh, wow.
We're playing with them 29th here in Wichita, and then we play with them in Fort Smith, Arkansas on the 30th. And there's a couple other things that are pending right now that I can't say anything yet.
Wow, but that's so.
I've submitted my press kit for these opportunities, but you can't say anything until the bigger band agent approves it. So.
I got you, but you know that's cool because I'd imagine even though last show was last November, it's kind of going to feel like a bit of a comeback show, huh?
Yeah, it will for sure. It'll be our first show in Wichita since then, and we've been working hard on a lot of stuff, and it's been all behind the scenes. And now that Oceans is out, now we've got something to go out there and push. We're getting a lot closer. You know, next Friday is the show. We're ramping up the rehearsals, and it's definitely starting to feel real that we're going to be getting out there again. So we just want to go out there and we just want to go out there and kick as much ass as possible.
So let me ask you, Dusty, as far as anybody wants to check out your past material, do you guys have like a past album, or are you working towards a full-length album?
Yeah, I have a bunch of my solo acoustic stuff, which is really well produced stuff. It's the same guy that produced Oceans.
Okay.
But yeah, I have an EP out called Trapped Here that people can find, and I've released I think 5 singles on my own too. So I've got a pretty solid catalog out there. Everything before Oceans is going to be like more of my acoustic rock stuff.
Cool.
You know, if you like Jar of Flies, Allison Chains, that kind of stuff, it's kind of in that vein. And then from here on out, it looks like for the next year at least, it's going to be all full band hard rock stuff. So I got a pretty good catalog out there so
so
far.
is the plan like to kind of for the next maybe year or so release like a song at a time, and then maybe when you get 9 or 10 songs, put out an album worth of?
Yeah, if it gets to that point, which I hope it does. We've already got 4 songs. One of them's already recorded, and 2 of them are already demoed out. But yeah, I think we're just going to keep banging singles out until we have enough, and then I'll probably put together a CD or something like that.
And would you say that each of these songs that you've been working on lately, would you say like Oceans is a fair representation of what you do, or would you say like these other songs kind of really are different and stand out on their own?
Well, we have, I would say it's a pretty good representation from the sound-wise. The subject matter's a little different.
Yeah.
The next single we put out will be a pretty dark one, and then we've got a cover that we're working on, and then we've got something a little heavier that we're probably going to drop towards the end of the year, which is a little bit more aggressive, chip on the shoulder type stuff. But it'll still be in that hard rock metal vein.
Yeah, 'cause it's kind of interesting. I was almost going to, in prepping for the interview day, I was almost going to say that Oceans kind of sounds like it's got an Allison Chains vibe to me, but I don't know that that's really, to my ears, a fair description, because when I listened to it, there's maybe kind of got that vibe, but there's something original. There's like an original sound to it, something a little different.
So,
yeah.
And to hear that is amazing to hear. So I really appreciate that. I take that as a big compliment. So thank you.
Yeah, and as far as when you is it the same band that appears band members that appear on all the tracks? You got different guys coming in and doing different songs.
It will be this lineup will be what you'll see when you come see us for sure. Jason and I have been doing a majority of the songwriting, and the next song that we're putting out is one that I actually wrote. But I went in the studio with these artists and recorded it. So yeah, you'll see the same players unless there's a personnel change. You'll definitely see the same players. If I can help it, you'll see the same players.
That's cool to hear. And as far as when you guys like recorded Oceans, or you record any of this stuff, is everybody like in the same studio? Does everybody kind of do it the modern way and record their parts separately, and you piece it all together? Or what's the process?
Jason and I demoed Oceans out completely. So we programmed drums, we did all that stuff, and then Jason and I went in and actually tracked the song in the studio and shared it with the other members. So they learned the track when we went out for the video shoot. But each song has kind of been different, because the next one that we put out, everybody went in and tracked their parts with the exception of one person.
I tell you, the beauty of technology.
It depends on who writes what and who can get in the studio when we get the studio time booked. But we've kind of taken a different approach with each song here.
The beauty of technology, because again, just listening to the track, maybe it's because I watched the video, but you never know with a drum machine. It sounds like a real drummer playing. It's that good.
Yeah. The drums on the recording, full disclosure, they are programmed, but they sound better live when Shane smashes catching them, that's for sure.
To me, it just really matters, how good it sounds. If you tell me it's a drum machine, I got no problem with that, because, like you said, when you go out and you do a live, you're going to have a live drummer, but that's how professional the recordings sound, and I think that just, says it all. Now, final question I want to ask you is about the video. I mean, anything you remember from shooting that video, or anything stand out to you?
What stood out to me was just the whole weekend in itself was just such a fun weekend. It was a good opportunity for us to all connect. And then when we were actually filming it and playing through the song and doing all that stuff, I think it was pretty therapeutic for everybody involved. I think we were all kind of getting it out and trying to show how much passion was involved in the song and is involved in this project. And I think we did a good job of showing that. I definitely remember kind of letting go and having some relief from playing it and getting into it and just doing it over and over and really feeling the song. So I'd say that stands out for sure. Yeah,
I'm sure after just the video shoot, the day of shooting the video, you really got the song down, like you said. And so Dusty, like, I was curious, who are some of your heroes growing up as far as singers and guitar players that influenced what you're doing?
I've always been a big fan of Allison, of course, and Jerry Cantrell is one of my idols for sure. Trent Reznor from 9 Inch Nails is somebody that I've always looked up to. I've always liked the grunge era, Nirvana, Kurt Cobain, Scott Weiland, Stone Temple Pilots. And those are the bands that really kind of influenced me on the rock side of things.
Well,
I love all kinds of metal too. I mean, I listen to anything from Fit for an Autopsy to Lamb of God to Hatebreed. I listen to a lot of different stuff as far as heavy metal and rock.
Yeah, because I could definitely hear of a Jerry Cantrell influence, and he's kind of an interesting cat to be influenced by, because I think part of the reason Alice in Chains was able to carry on without Lane Staley, not only did they get a singer that sounds, dead on like him, but Jerry was very involved with all the songwriting, even the new stuff they put out. He's like the background vocal sound of that band, very much like Michael Anthony was with Van Halen.
Definitely, yeah. He's a master. He's an absolute beast. I love everything he's ever done, solo and with Alice in Chains. So I'm a admitted Jerry Cantrell fanboy for sure.
Yeah, that's nothing wrong with that. And so, so where can people find you online? And if they want to buy any of your music, what's the best way for them to do that?
You can buy everything on my website. It's www.dustygrant.com. Everything's available on Spotify. The Oceans video is on YouTube. I'm on Amazon. I'm on Deezer, Tidal. Everywhere you can pretty much stream music, I've got something on there, and all you have to do is search Dusty Grant, and you'll be able to find my entire catalog. I've got everything I've ever recorded as Dusty Grant is on there, so you should be able to find my old stuff where I didn't know what I was doing. All the way up to now.
And can they get physical copies, or just available digitally right now?
You can buy a physical copy of the Trapped Here EP on my website. I will mail it to you. I don't have anything else in physical form just because I haven't had put out another album, but Trapped Here is definitely available if somebody wants to listen to that and wants to get a CD. Just pick it up on the website, and if you want me to write something for you or whatever, just let me know.
That is cool. And like I said, Dusty Grant, you have a new fan in me. I'm digging this track. I can't wait to hear what comes next, and I just want to put it out there that like I said, the interview will be getting posted probably about a week or two. I'll let you know as soon as I have a concrete date for that. If you're happy with the way this interview went, let's please keep in touch, and when you drop the next track up, please let me know, and I'd love to talk to you again, because it's all about spreading the love for the good music that we love, and this qualifies as that.
Well, I really appreciate you too, man. I don't get a lot of opportunities like this, so anybody that's willing to reach out and help me get the word out is much appreciated. So yeah, you and I will definitely talk again and stay in touch for sure. I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you.
And we appreciate you making your beautiful music. Keep doing it, Dusty, and have a great rest of your day, and we'll be talking to you.
Awesome. I'll talk to you soon, man. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Chaotic Riffs Magazine.